HTT Discovery Kids, and welcome back to GNN, where every week we keep you informed on what God is teaching us in His Word. I'm Miss Jessica.
And I'm Mr. Hattie. We're studying the story of Moses and have learned how God called him to go back and save his people from Egypt. After God delivered his people from Pharaoh and his army, they still had a way to go before they were at the land that God had promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They were still in the desert and needed God to provide it for their every need.
God is good and made sure that His people were provided for. The people complained that they were stuck in a desert without food. So first, God made sure that they were able to eat in the desert even though there was no food to be found. God sent a special bread from heaven called manna for the people to eat. When the people left their tents, the manna was found spread across the ground like the dew we see on grass in the morning.
All the people had to do was walk outside their tent and collect the bread from the earth. They ate the bread and found out that it was sweet and nourishing to their bodies. Again, God provided a miracle, bread from heaven, to make sure his people were provided for.
God also wanted to show them that He had special gifts for them along the way. One night, when the people really wanted to eat meat, God sent a large flock of quail to land in the midst of the camp so that the people could eat meat that night. God didn't have to send quail. He had already sent them bread from heaven, but He wanted to bless them even more.
Another time, the people were running out of water and began to complain. God told Moses to take his staff and strike a rock in the desert. When Moses struck the rock, water came gushing out to give the people all the water they needed. Again, God showed his people he could do anything, even bring water to them in the middle of a desert.
God kept showing the people that He was taking care of them, but the people kept complaining. Instead of being thankful to God for all of His provisions, they complained again and again. There was no need to complain. God saw them and would provide for them, but sometimes it's easier for mankind to complain than to be grateful. We're going to learn more about this now in the verse of the week with Mr. Hattie.
Thanks, Miss Jessica. This week's verse is found in Exodus chapter 16, verses 11 and 12, and it says, "And the Lord said to Moses, I have heard the grumblings of the people of Israel. Say to them, at twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread. Then you shall know that I am the Lord your God." The people of Israel were happy to be free at first, but when they saw that life in the desert could be hard, they began to complain. They didn't trust that God would take care of them. We see here in this verse that God was showing them that He would give them bread and meat and provide for their every need, but they still complained. Let's make it a practice in our homes to only ever be grateful for the blessings of God and never utter words of complaining. Just like the people of Israel, God continues to provide for each of our needs every day. Well, that's all for our verse of the week, and now on to our Animal of the Week segment with Miss Jessica.
Thanks, Mr. Hattie. This week's animal is small, can fly, and even produces very small eggs that some people love to eat. Do you know what it is? If you said quail, then you're right. Quail are an upland game bird that eats seeds and insects. Quail fly in small flocks called coveys. Quail live in tall grasslands where they can find food and keep an eye on predators. Quail will stay perfectly still so that you can't see them in the grass, but if you get too close, then they will shoot up from the ground very quickly and make a loud sound with their wings to make you look away from where their eggs are hidden on the ground. God sent a large flock of quail to land among His people so that they could eat meat. The people didn't know that while they were complaining to God, He already had the quail flying on the way to them. Let's always keep in mind that God is already in the process of providing our every need. Take some time today to thank Him for His provision and goodness. What a mighty God we serve. That's all for the Animal of the Week. And now, back to our newsroom.
Well, that's it for us here on the Gospel News Network. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again right here next week. God bless you, and remember, be blessed
And be a blessing.